Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you the most overpowered build in Palworld's 1.0 update. And yeah, it is really that fast. This is something I posted about previously. What we're using here is electric types alongside Ophidia, whose special skill inflicts soaked on the enemy, which doubles electric damage. This is further boosted by Yarmantide here, who has the Ignis version, which will boost up fire damage on burn targets, but against soaked targets we get 65% more damage. We can also increase our overall critical hit damage, our player damage, and turn our entire gun's damage into electric. Now, this is a build that I posted about a couple weeks back to take down Panthalus, so I have a few different variations of this as well. So I'll cover all the best moves, strategies, and everything that you need to know to make this a very powerful build. Now, we do have three different options here because we want to turn our weapon damage into electric. The soak there, similar to some of the other conditions like Ivy Covered, which makes burn take additional damage, are amazing and very powerful. The only big difference is we do have Yarmantide there to further boost up the damage. But there are three options here: is Hell Zephyr Lux, which I personally really like, Beacon, who does have lower attack damage, as you can see there between the two of these. However, it does move faster than more electric types that we have in our party, and there's other electric types that we can add in additionally. If you want the true highest possible damage, it is Prickster Lux, which will change your electric type to electric and increase the attack of it by 50%. This is the strongest. However, it does have a limit. It only lasts for a minute here, where you're going to probably want to throw on another pal, something like Lapure here, to give your skills back quicker. However, I just think that Hell Zephyr Lux, despite looking very cool, is the best choice for this. The 20% increase in damage is nice, but we also have from Solen an 80% increase to our overall damage. Solen is a beast, and for player damage builds, you basically have to include her at this point. Just very strong. Our big combination is coming from Ophidia applying the soaked. This applies to every single bolt that we shoot. So if you're using something like the combat SMG that fires very quickly, you can apply this fast. We also, again, obviously have the Yarmantide, but Van Worm Christ is a good option here because this increases the damage the player deals to enemy weak points by 50%. So if you have really good aim, this is a good choice. Panthalus, the big crystal you saw earlier, that's where you're going to be shooting at against him. Now, if you want to go against Panthalus, he cannot be soaked. Water types can't get hit with soak. So in that case, you would remove Ophidia and Yarmantide because their effects will not actually apply. And we have a few other options. We can throw in Cryolink's Terra. Now, this is a really special ability because when attacking an enemy weak point, it increases the power of the next attack point by 60%. The reason I went with a 50% Van Worm Christ here is because this isn't super consistent. You can test it for yourself. It does work often, but it doesn't always work. So that's why I prefer to go with Van Worm Christ over this. Just from my testing, I found this one to be a little bit less reliable, but both of these are great. And then we can also throw in Snock. Now, Snock's a new pal here that will apply Electrify 6 on the enemies. Electrify makes them take more water damage, but also kind of paralyzes them and slows them down. So you can run with a stack of this here if you want to swap things up. I'm also a fan of Slowot here, so you can throw Slowot on, and whenever you attack an enemy that is inflicted with Electrify, it'll discharge enemy doing 60% of the player's attack damage to nearby enemies. This is great if you're going against multiple enemies at a time. I would recommend running with this setup here, but for most intents and purposes, you're going to want to run with this for Panthalus, and for most other encounters, you're going to run with this or swap in Cryolink's Terra. Similarly, there are burn builds with like Renjishi, Yarmantide, Ignis, Magix, Flaracle, and then using Chillit as your mounted pat to turn your attacks into fire, or using like Ragnahawk. So there is a fire version. However, the big difference here is whenever you burn a target, they don't take double fire damage, whereas if we apply soaked, they take double electric, making it very powerful. Some alternate pals. Dandalord can actually come out and you can have his active skill out, and it'll apply poison on those that you're attacking, which is really good because poison does stack with like electrify or soaked. And if you want to go for more of a pal damage setup, you can do something a little bit silly and throw in Celestia or Noct, which will increase the attack power by 80%. And Orzurk, which will increase it based on your attacks, 5% for every attack. So if you use the drone launcher, this stacks it up to 150%. So you can do some insane damage with these two on your Hell Zephyr, or if you wanted to throw in Beacon or Prickster Luck, although Hell Zephyr ends up being the strongest. And I guess another option is Solmara Lux, which when you ride him when swimming, it'll change your attack type to electric and also make it easier for you to fish up talented pals. And another option here is Xenoguard, which will increase the player's energy weapon damage by 35%. This includes the energy swords if you like melee builds. But what's great about this is that we're getting further damage on some of the most powerful weapons in the game. So it is worth considering this at certain points. Now, what I want to talk about is the passive skills. I don't have the time to swap all them over on this setup. I've tried a few different ones here. Vanguard, if you have 5 pals with that, that's a 50% increase to the player's attack. That is going to be the absolute best choice for just dealing more damage. I also also like to have the Stronghold Strategist here, which will increase your defense as well, although not necessary. Same thing with the Reload Master. This will increase your reload speeds, which can be nice because you can stack up to 20%. However, it's not really making a massive difference. And another nice one to throw on would be Idiosyncratic here, which pal and players auto health regen is increased by 50%, defense plus 25, and immune to poison and burn. However, these are just optional. Now, if you want to stack up Orzerk and go with the PAL damage, the choices I would recommend would be Demon God to give that 30% increase to attack, Musclehead for another 30% increase, Ferocious for a 20%, and Serenity, which will give you a 30% increase. You can go with some of the World Tree passes, but that's annoying to farm, so this could be a easier method for you. Serenity is really nice because it gives them their skills back quickly and also a slight 10% buff to their overall attack damage. Now, when we're looking at active moves, I would honestly recommend swapping out the elements depending on what boss you're going against, because same type attack bonus in Palworld is only 20%, whereas doubling your damage is obviously a lot more preferred. So you don't feel locked into a specific type, even though Hell Zephyr Lux is dark and electric here, and we're dealing electric type damage. If you're going against something else, it doesn't really matter. Like ground types, I would swap out and throw in some grass type moves, like Solar Blast, for example. But Rainstorm, or Thunderstorm and Thunder Rain are amazing against Panthalus because they have a huge hitbox, and Thunder Rail is also not a bad attack as well. And Holy Burst is another nice one if you're going around farming, because that can take out enemies really quickly. Now for our items here, the Lord of Lightning's Baton here, which will increase our PAL's attack damage and lightning damage. This can be really nice, again, if you're going for more of the PAL damage focus like Orzerk, but we can also just throw on something like the Attack Pendant, giving ourselves a 15% increase to our attack power. The Dogen emblem here, which will increase our attack and our PAL's attack by 20%, and the triple jump boots. I just really like to use these alongside like the wing packs. We have a lot of mobility if we're, let's say, using Trickster Lux here and we want to use a lightning attack, so you can have some mobility too. Some other choices for items, I also like the anti-gravity belt. Jumping around this game I just find really useful in combat. Jet Dragon's Talisman can work on other setups and it'll increase their overall defense. But I like this particular setup here. For weapons, I think the Combat SMG is one of the best in the game because it's cheaper than using some of the more expensive things like the Beam Scatterer, and it shoots really fast. So if you are using that PAL damage build with the Orzerk, you can get a crazy amount of damage and boost up his damage with it. Beam Scatter is just one of the best weapons in the game. I like to have the drone launcher out as well, and the mechanical bow has the highest single target damage that we can possibly get, so this is great for one-shotting targets. And if you really want a one-shot, you can throw a Hoodle into your party too. I always just like to have the grappling gun equipped too. Now this setup is really powerful because all we gotta do is just start shooting at them. This will apply Soaked, which will end up doubling our damage that is turned into electric, and you see there, against any of the tower bosses on hard, we just destroy them. And if you want to do more of a PAL damage focus again, Orzerk, Solan, Trickster Lux, or Ormantide and Ophidia. And if you're going against water types, it'd be this lineup with Cryolinx, Terra, and Snock. And this looks a little bit different. We're going against a water type here, so we got to activate the skill here, which will turn our attacks into electric here, and then we're blasting away basically. We got the weak point damage doing insane amounts of stuff. We're shocking him too. That's with the Snock's ability there, because Snock will actually make him paralyzed. It'll always do this here in this boss fight, so yeah, we do have that boost to our attack still, and there you go. Deleted the 8th tower boss on hard. So yeah, I just want to follow up on the video that I posted a couple weeks back and talk a little bit more about this because it is a very fun setup and there's multiple different ways you can go about it as I showed in this video. If this was useful, hit the subscribe button below and I'll catch you all in the next video.